guys, it's Will. It's Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. Yay! Give us a like, give us a comment, whatever you feel like doing. Let us know what I should be doing. Tell me what kind of videos you want to see, what I should be reviewing, what I should be watching. You can see some of the stuff I'll be reviewing coming up behind me. We got Knockoff with Van Damme. We got New Fist of Fury. We got the Once Upon a Time in China Eureka box right here. So big shout out to Andrew Amphlett who sent that to me all the way from the UK. Drive right here. Lots of stuff. I actually have a new series planned. It's called Martial Arts Mayhem. And I've posted some non-Hong Kong stuff on here before, and I have talked to some people about non-Hong Kong stuff, and people seem very receptive to it as long as it's in the wheelhouse of what people enjoy watching. So I'm thinking of doing a series where, like, once every couple weeks, I'll talk about a non-Hong Kong movie that is related to Hong Kong cinema somehow, be it through the style of martial arts, the style of fight choreography, people who are involved in it, stuff like that. Okay, anyway, what am I here to do today? I watched a movie the other day that I really, really liked, and it's a new film to me, and it's not a movie I really even knew that much about before. I kind of only heard of it in passing. The movie is called On the Wrong Track. It was released in 1983. It is the first starring role, I believe, of Andy Lau, who was like 21, I think, when they made the movie, 22 when it came out. It's a Shaw Brothers film, if I didn't say that already, and Andy Lau had been in some movies before in smaller parts, but I think this was his first main role. And so I should tell you straight away that this is not an action film. This is not a martial arts film. This is a drama, basically. And it's a really bleak movie. So if that's not your cup of tea, like if you don't like really bleak dramas, you probably won't like this movie. Andy Lau plays this kid who has a brother. And their mom has moved to Taiwan. They're living with their dad. Their dad is a cop. And the brother is really kind of a bad seed. Not that he's a wayward youth, I guess is the better way to put it. He's not like inherently evil, right? But like, you know, he's in this kind of like group of kids who likes to go around getting in fights, and they like to smash stuff up, and they fight with baseball bats, and they find other gangs of kids on the streets they don't like, and they fight with them, and they like burn cars, and like they commit all these kind of like angsty, angry crimes that kids in these types of movies commit because they, you know, this is really a film of like lost, wayward youth who feel like there's no place for them in the world and they have no future. And it really reminded me of kind of Mean Streets and that kind of like those Scorsese dramas that are really kind of bleak and like rough and tumble. It also kind of reminded me of Rebels of the Neon God, which is a Taiwanese film. This movie is a little bit more of like a straightforward story with more kind of violence than that movie, but it had a very similar tone and a very similar kind of like listlessness and waywardness to it, and this sense of like bored youth with no outlet other than like venting their frustration through petty crime and stuff like that. The Outsiders also kind of reminded me of the S.E. Hinton, both the book and the Coppola film. Rumblefish, it doesn't have that artsiness of Rumblefish. If you've seen the Coppola Rumblefish film, it's very much kind of like European art house style film. And it didn't have that quality to it. It has much more of that Scorsese, like, on the characters, like Steadicam, handheld camera, on the streets kind of feel to it. But it has a similar sense of like bleakness and violence and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's hard to like pinpoint exactly what makes this movie special, but there was just something about it where you like the characters are really good and there's this intense sadness to it. It's not just a story of like violence and lashing out, but it's a story of like lost lives. And it also has some really beautiful moments in it. Like there's a scene where Andy Lau is on the bus. And it's raining, and it's at night, and it's shot on location in Hong Kong in 1983. You just see the city. It's not like a glamorous part of the city. You just see this like run-of-the-mill Hong Kong, 1983. He opens the window of the bus, and the rain is coming down. And then there's a mother on the bus who's like yelling at her daughter, being really rude to her daughter, and Andy Lau starts yelling at her. And at the woman for yelling at the daughter, and then the woman takes it out on the daughter, and you see this kind of like bad parents and these kids stuck in these crappy lives and who just wish for something better. And there's a subplot with Andy Lau falls in love with a woman who's an immigrant from Vietnam, so that's really, really interesting too. She's actually a refugee from the Vietnam War, and she's very young. There's a minor spoiler here. She has a kid, and I believe that she was raped and she had the baby. And it's so, like I said, this movie is really bleak, right? But she's a war refugee and she's been through this horrible trauma. And Andy Lau falls in love with her, and he wants to try to help her stay in Hong Kong because they want to move them on to either send them back to Vietnam or like move them to another refugee camp or something like that. I forget the specifics of it, but you know, you see like the violence in the refugee camps and the way that police don't really care about it, and you know, everywhere these characters turn, there's no way out. Like the principal is being a dick to them, the cops are being dicks to them, like their parents are being dicks to them, and but it does have some subtlety to it, in that you see some tenderness between Andy Lau and the father character or like the stepmom, but then you also see how it's so hard for them to get over the issues they have with each other, and it's a really well done character drama. Basically, I should add that there are some total inconsistencies. Like during some of the fight scenes, you're like, what the fuck just happened? Like people get drop kick, like flying drop kicks, like a Shaw Brothers like wuxia movie, but it's like this like really serious drama. Some of the violent scenes, you're like, wait, what movie am I watching right now? Because it goes from being this like really realistic drama to this like over the top, like people getting shot in the head and kind of stuff like that. So be aware of the fact that that material is in there. In the US, this movie is on both Netflix and Prime, which is interesting. The Netflix version is much better. Like the quality of the video is much better, but there's a kind of a charm to the Prime version because it has this kind of like almost like VHS or like bootleg quality to it, because it's not quite as high quality. Anyway, I've talked for too long. Obviously, you can tell I really enjoyed this movie. It has been released on DVD. There's like I think a UK region DVD release, and I've looked it up on eBay. I almost bought it. It's like $13. So one seller has it for a reasonable price. I think some of the other ones are kind of like price inflated. But the movie's called On the Wrong Track. It was released in 1983, starring Andy Lau, kind of Scorsese-esque, coming of age, like violent street ruffian drama. Check it out. This is Hong Kong Cinema Appreciation Society. My name is Will, and we will see you next time.